Good afternoon, everyone. I am Jessica Wall-Turner, the president of the Outdoor Recreation Roundtable, and I'm so excited to welcome our many guests from DC and across the country to hear about the latest recreation economy data from the Department of Commerce's Bureau of Economic Analysis. We're thrilled to share the just released government data on the growth and power of the outdoor recreation sector in 2021 and our industry's positive impact on not just the economy, but also jobs, health, communities, and quality of life. A reminder for media, we will be having a Q&A after this session. Hopefully you have information. If not, please email press@recreationroundtable.org to receive that call online. We're so lucky to have here with us today leadership from the White House, the Department of Commerce, and industry leaders and CEOs from across the activity spectrum. You will hear from Chair Mallory from the White House Council on Environmental Quality, Thomas Howells, Industry Economics Division Chief with the Bureau of Economic Analysis at the Department of Commerce, Mike Happy, President and CEO of Winnebago Industries, Frank Hugelmeyer, President of the National Marine Manufacturers Association and Chair of the Outdoor Recreation Board, Toby O'Rourke, President and CEO of Campgrounds of America, Inc., and Colin Robertson, Administrator of the Nevada Division of Outdoor Recreation. 6 years ago, almost to the day, the REC Act passed unanimously through Congress, directing the federal government for the first time to account for our unique sector's contributions to the GDP and gross output. This is now the 5th annual release of that data. With this data, we can now, as a sector, track our growing impact on state and national level data and compare and contrast to other industries to see how we're keeping up with key sectors of the American economy. This year's data shows that we contributed $862 billion, a record for that number, in gross output, 1.9% of GDP, and 4.5 million jobs. This really underscores how important it is to continue to invest in public lands and waters and recreation infrastructure from coast to coast. We account for 3% of all US employees and are larger than sectors like agriculture, oil and gas extraction, mining, computer and electronics, and many, many more. Our industry saw an impressive comeback from 2020, where we were hard hit by closures and the virtual halt in trips and travel. However, as we all saw and know from those years, Americans flocked to the outdoors more than ever. In 2020, it was close to home, and in 2021, as travel started to reopen, Americans continued to prioritize outdoor recreation in their vacations, their family trips, and dollars spent. The record participation of the past 2 years equated to most of our industry segments seeing record sales in 2021. Today's data release underscores that outdoor recreation industry is a consistent economic driver, even in times of economic and social uncertainty. As our industry has always known, there are a myriad of benefits that come along with people spending time outdoors. There's mental and physical health, there's strong and resilient communities, jobs and economic growth, not just nationally, but in local communities across the country. These impacts will only grow if our continued investment in outdoor infrastructure and access grows with it. Our speakers here today will expand more on this data, what it means, and I would first like to introduce Thomas Howells to provide an overview of the ORSA top line numbers. And thank you so much for being here today from the Bureau of Economic Analysis, and thanks to you and your team for the consistent hard work on our economic data.
Thanks, Jess, very much for that introduction. And good afternoon, everyone. And thank you in particular, of course, to the Outdoor Recreation Roundtable for hosting this event. It's a real pleasure to be here and to have the opportunity to speak with all of you about the new outdoor recreation statistics that the Bureau of Economic Analysis released this morning. We continue to value, of course, the support and the input of all those who use our data. So thank you for taking the time to join us today. Before diving into the numbers, I'll take just a moment to share a little bit about who we are at BEA. The Bureau of Economic Analysis is a trusted, nonpartisan producer of official economic statistics. Our data are relied upon by policymakers, business leaders, and the public in general to make informed decisions. You see our statistics in the news, things like GDP, personal income, data on corporate profits and international trade, and others as well. Even if you don't always necessarily know that it's us that's producing them. But it's worth noting that these and the other data sets that we produce all come from a single comprehensive framework for measuring the U.S. economy. And similarly, the outdoor recreation statistics released today also come from that framework. And that's important because it means that all of these data are produced in a consistent, transparent manner, and the data can be compared and analyzed together. So enough about BEA. Let's turn now to talk about the numbers themselves. So if we can jump to the next slide. Great, thank you. On this slide, we are looking at the outdoor recreation economy as a share of GDP for the last 5 years. Historically, that share hovered around 2.2%. We see that figure dip to 1.7% in 2020 as outdoor recreation fell more rapidly than the rest of the economy during the pandemic. But we see that begin to recover in 2021 as the share rises back to around 1.9%. Adjusted for inflation, the outdoor recreation economy grew by 18.9% in 2021, and that compares to an increase of 5.9% in the overall economy. If we jump to the next slide, here we're shifting our focus from value added that we were looking at on the previous slide to a focus on a total output produced by the outdoor recreation economy. Total outdoor recreation output in 2021 was $861.5 billion, up sharply from the 2020 level and surpassing the previous high in 2019 of about $855 billion. As you can see here, we divide the outdoor recreation economy into 3 main subcategories: conventional outdoor recreation, that includes things like camping, hiking, fishing, RVing, boating, etc. Other outdoor recreation includes things like gardening, amusement parks, outdoor sporting events, and then supporting outdoor recreation, which includes things like government expenditures to maintain state and national parks, as well as travel expenses associated with outdoor recreation trips. That includes things like airfare, hotels, restaurants, etc. You'll see that the bulk of the drop in 2020 and the subsequent recovery in 2021 is tied to supporting outdoor recreation. And that's more specifically tied to or reflects an increase in 2021 in expenditures related to outdoor recreation trips and travel. Again, lodging, restaurants, airfare, that sort of thing. Jumping to the next slide. I'll wrap up here on this slide that may be of the most interest, giving us a regional perspective on the results. The map here shows outdoor recreation jobs as a share of total jobs within each state. So this gives us one view of the relative importance of outdoor recreation within each state, with the highest shares in the Mountain West region, in Florida, and in the northeastern part of the country. Those are the darker blue states. As context, overall growth in outdoor recreation jobs was 13.1% in 2021, and that compares to job growth in the economy as a whole of 3.1%. If we can jump to the last slide, that wraps up my brief presentation. Of course, there is much more information on the BEA website. You can reach our outdoor recreation landing page at the link that you see there on the screen. You can also get in touch with BEA's outdoor recreation team through the email address listed there as well. And of course, you can find today's data release right on the BEA.gov main page. And with that, I will say thank you again and turn things over, I think, now to Mike.
Thanks, Thomas, and good day to everyone on the call. So we'll begin a bit of a roundtable here of perspectives on the information that's being released today, and I'll kick us off. I have the privilege of being president and CEO of Winnebago Industries, one of the leading outdoor recreation manufacturers in the U.S. We have 5 premium brands in our portfolio, 3 recreational vehicle brands, 2 marine brands, and we employ more than 7,000 employees here in the U.S. My comments today will focus specifically on the RV recreational vehicle side of our portfolio. Recreational vehicles had a record year in 2021, both in terms of retail sales, but also in terms of wholesale shipments. Over the course of the months and the years immediately following the pandemic, Americans really rushed to the outdoors, specifically in 2021. Americans were looking for safety, They were looking for a sense of normalization and control. They wanted to spend newfound discretionary time with family and friends, and they certainly were looking for a sense of adventure in a positive way to have new experiences. And as Jess said, the outdoors is fantastic from a physical and mental wellness standpoint. So here's a few facts and figures here in terms of the popularity of RVing, specific to 2021. The number of households owning RVs has almost doubled in 20 years, from 2002 to 2021. More than 11 million households now participate formally in the RV lifestyle via ownership. What was remarkable about 2021 was that first-time buyers actually increased from 44% historically pre-pandemic to 54% in 2021. And that trend also saw an increase in the youth that were participating in RVs as well, specifically the next generation of millennials and even Gen Zs beginning to explore the lifestyle. The median age in 2021 of first-time buyers was in the 30s. The good news is that 86% of those first-time buyers in 2021 say that their RV experience meets or exceeds their expectations, which bodes well for our industry, certainly going forward in terms of repurchase intent and further participation. What I think also excites the leaders in the RV segment is that we are seeing increasing diversity in terms of those participating in the RV lifestyle. More than 50% of the new RV owners in 2021 were non-Caucasian, which really begins to reflect some of the broader trends in American society. I'll wrap up my comments with just some notes in terms of impact to community. Our employment at Winnebago Industries has more than tripled in the last 6.5 years. That's via obviously organic growth, but also some acquisition. But we have seen robust employment through these years, and especially in 2021. We are especially present in rural communities, particularly in North Iowa and Northern Indiana, and that provides a sense of economic stability and prosperity to those regions. And the last thing about the economic success of the outdoors is it gives organizations like Winnebago Industries a chance to give back. And in 2022 here recently, we've given back more than 20 times the amount of philanthropic dollars that we had been giving all the way back in 2016. So the economic success is resulting in dividends back to our communities. I'll now pass the mantle over to Frank Hugemeyer, who is president of the National Marine Manufacturers Association. Frank.
Hey, thanks, Mike. And welcome, everyone. As you can see, recreational boating and fishing is immensely popular with Americans, confirmed once again by today's data release. All across the conventional outdoor recreation activities, boating and fishing remains the largest economic contributor in the sector. And Americans embrace and discover boating and fishing because of the incredible freedom, the joy, the numerous health benefits that come with spending time on, in, and around the water with family, friends. And I think that's something that we share that's consistent with all of outdoor recreation. Now, during the past 2 years, over 800,000 first-time boat buyers entered the US market. The strong rise of new boaters, renters, and boat club members positions the recreational boating industry very well for future seasons. And we are optimistic about the future as boat manufacturers right now continue to see a very strong forward order book for new boat sales despite the recessionary fears, many reporting 6 to 12, even as far as 24 months out in terms of new boat orders. So as more Americans flock to the outdoors and drive this incredible economic engine, lawmakers have taken note and passed several crucial pieces of legislation that invests in our nation's aging infrastructure, and it improves access and funds critical conservation projects. For instance, Congress reauthorized the Sport Fish Restoration Boating Trust Fund, a voluntary user pay system created by boaters and anglers. The trust fund allocates $750 million annually to key infrastructure and conservation projects and ensures future generations of Americans can enjoy our nation's waterways. And more recently, Senators Manchin and Barrasso introduced a first of its kind American Outdoor Recreation Act, legislation that will streamline the permitting process for outdoor excursion, getting more people outdoors, supporting rural communities, creates partnerships to update infrastructure, and it'll keep recreation accessible and open, which is only going to drive more economic activity into the future. So today's data release shows what we in the industry really have long known to be true. Outdoor recreation is a vital quality of life industry enjoyed by hundreds of millions across the country. It's an economic engine and a lifeline to our nation and many rural communities. It's a major employer for millions of Americans, and it's a sector that supports and is driven by hundreds of thousands of small businesses. So I'm going to finish my comments by introducing actually my pleasure to introduce the Chair Mallory from the White House Council of Environmental Quality, and then she'll be followed by Toby O'Rourke, the CEO of Campgrounds of America. Please welcome Chair Mallory. We're honored to have you. Chair, you're on mute at the moment.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, I apologize for the technical difficulties. It's a pleasure to be here today and to be able to actually be part of this presentation on the Bureau of Economic Analysis outdoor satellite account update. This is actually a very significant part of the president's agenda, the work that's going on in the outdoor industry. And, you know, I think people on this call know that through the president's America the Beautiful initiative, which was the first ever national conservation goal, the Biden-Harris administration is committed to ensuring that outdoor recreation opportunities are accessible and sustainable. President Biden and Vice President Harris are laser focused on making sure that everyone in this country has access to clean air, clean water, and healthy communities, which we believe means access to nature and green and blue spaces. While this report clearly highlights the benefits nature can provide to our economy, we also know, and I heard several of you already mention, that it has benefits that are to both our physical and our mental health. But too many communities across the country lack access to parks and rivers and green space. And so that's why the administration has been focused on nature-deprived communities. There are approximately 22 million people in the United States that lack access to nature and green and blue spaces in their communities. And we know this disproportionately impacts low-income communities, including Black and Brown communities. And so when I say that, we're talking about communities that don't have access to green and blue spaces like parks and tree cover and bike paths and river trails. Decades of research have demonstrated that communities with less park space are hotter in the summer, have worse air quality, and are more susceptible to catastrophic flooding. Data also shows that the lack of access to parks is associated with higher rates of heart disease, stroke, and obesity. So that's why in August, the Biden-Harris administration, through funding from the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law and the Inflation Reduction Act, invested over $12 billion to create more parks and safe outdoor opportunities in nature-deprived communities. So we're also working to continue leveraging and expanding existing federal programs and initiatives such as the Federal Interagency Council on Outdoor Recreation, or FICOR, the Outdoor Recreation Legacy Partnership, the Urban Wildlife Conservation Program Partnerships, the Recreation Trails Program, and the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers' ongoing effort to modernize recreation facilities and improve access and educational programming to enhance outdoor recreation across the U.S. Through the FICOR, we will work together to build the outdoor infrastructure of the future, grow and train the workforce needed to sustain the sector, and make our federal lands and waters a welcoming experience for all. FICOR will also build upon the significant industry and interagency work from previous administrations, as well as the bipartisan infrastructure law investments, conservation actions, and workforce development, which this administration has already delivered. The outdoor industry is a vital, vibrant, and growing sector of our economy, contributing to our gross domestic product and employing millions of people in good paying jobs. So I'm thrilled to be here today to kind of elevate this new economic data and to hear from our partners working in the outdoor recreation area. Before I return to my virtual seat, let me just close by taking a step back and reminding folks that President Biden's conservation vision is anchored in two ideas: that conservation should be locally led and reflect the values of specific communities, and that we must do things that so it stands the test of time. This underpins everything that we do through the President's signature conservation initiative, America the Beautiful. To get there, we are advancing a wide range of policy reforms, making big investments, and supporting place-based conservation efforts. So every day I hear of or see remarkable ideas that communities themselves are carrying forward. For our work to last, as the President wants it to do, we must do the things the right way. That means listening to communities, consulting with tribal nations, gathering feedback, building consensus where we can, and then forging a path. The outdoor industry is critical to building a lasting conservation ethic and ethos in our country. And it's going to take all of us to get it right. So thank you so much for the work that you're all doing, and thank you for inviting me to join you today.
Thank you, Chair, for all of your work on access on FICOR and your amazing team. We're so proud of the work we've been able to do to help prioritize recreation in the administration, and I hope that you can continue to be a partner in elevating these numbers that we've just released. I'd now like to pass it on to Toby O'Rourke, President and CEO of Campgrounds of America, Inc.
Thanks, Jess, and thank you, Chair. We absolutely are committed to access and conservation at KOA. And I appreciated your words. It's very, very interesting. We'd like to continue to help with that. I'm the president and CEO of Campgrounds of America. We have two brands, KOA, Campgrounds of America, which is the world's largest network of privately owned campgrounds with over 500 locations in the United States and Canada. And a new brand, Terramore Outdoor Resort, which plays in the glamping space. And we have a flagship property in Bar Harbor, Maine. The BEA data supports our beliefs and findings that outdoor recreation has a significant economic impact. Our research indicates that campers spent $44 billion in local communities during camping trips last year. The economic impact of camping and the greater outdoor industry underscores how critical natural spaces are to our economy. We at KOA are now finishing our best year in our 60-year history. Our revenues are significantly above pre-pandemic levels. In fact, 33% over 2019. We actually started to see this business growth going back over 10 years ago. Coming out of the last recession, our company and camping saw strong year-over-year growth starting in 2011. The pandemic then catapulted our business even further ahead, fueled by a large increase in new camping households. Nearly 94 million American households consider themselves campers, and that's an increase of 20% over 2019. Over the past few years, camping and RVing has surged in popularity as people have been seeking to be outdoors and want unique and flexible vacation options. The increase in camping is also fueled by the work from anywhere trend. Many workers started and now continue to work remotely from traditional offices. Many are traveling and working on the road, including from campgrounds. Camping is not only a significant part of outdoor recreation, it is now a formidable part of the travel landscape. In 2021, camping accounted for 40% of all leisure trips, with more than half of travelers including camping in some or all of their travel. As we look ahead, we anticipate participation in camping will continue. 41% of those who started camping for the first time this year say they will continue camping next year. Camping in our business has traditionally done well, even in times of economic uncertainty. Camping is very resilient. 62% view camping as a more viable option for traveling in a down economy due to its views as affordable and reliable. And we also see a third of those that already own an RV continue to use it more often versus other types of trips. There's also a strong outlook for the future of camping based on the changing demographics of campers. Just as Mike was talking about this morning, over the past decade, camping has shifted younger and become more diverse. 70% of camping households are millennials or Gen Z, and 35% of campers are from non-white groups. And that's a 23-point shift from when we first started measuring that in 2012. We're very optimistic and bullish about camping and the outdoor recreation economy as supported by the data released today. Natural spaces are critical to our communities. We strongly support investment in lands, water, and recreation infrastructure. With that, I would like to pass it over to Colin Robertson with the Nevada Division of Outdoor Recreation.
Thanks so much, Toby, and good morning, everyone. Thank you very much to the Bureau of Economic Analysis for this important work that gives people like me, State Office of Outdoor Recreation Director in Nevada, another tool to help us articulate the value and importance of the outdoors. There are lots of different ways to do that, and an economic argument is very helpful for our states in general. I want to also thank Jess and the entire staff of the Outdoor Recreation Roundtable for coordinating this important event to celebrate the new data. Nevada's outdoor recreation economy experienced $4.9 billion in value added in 2021. And that represents 2.5% of the state's GDP and more than 50,000 jobs across the state. In Nevada, outdoor recreation-driven travel and tourism rebounded significantly in 2021, contributing to outdoor recreation's economic growth last year. And that was a 23% growth year over year in the value-added number in Nevada's economy. Largely, that's due to the rebound in travel and tourism specifically. But we also had the largest economic impacts ever in RVing, hunting, ATVing, bicycling, and climbing, hiking, and camping in beautiful places like the Arc Dome Wilderness in central Nevada. Across the states, with offices of outdoor recreation and the Confluence of States, which is the informal alliance of 16 US states, now with formal offices of outdoor recreation, and for which I have the privilege of serving as chair this year, state directors of outdoor recreation offices worked to support communities and businesses in the outdoor recreation sector, leveraging federal and state investments of grant funds and loan programs to encourage participation and investment in outdoor recreation experiences and infrastructure. And those investments pay off, and these numbers help us to tell a story about why. In 2021, state outdoor recreation office directors supported businesses and communities across the country working to advance and enhance their outdoor recreation economies locally by leveraging their natural capital and access to outdoor recreation opportunities. And in a state like Nevada, our rural communities are oftentimes the gateways to our state's most beloved outdoor recreation landscapes. We work with local economic development agencies, small businesses, local, state, and federal government agencies, outdoor industry trade groups and business alliances, and others to help rural and urban communities increase opportunities for access to outdoor experiences. And you've heard this morning the many good reasons why that's an important thing to do. I want to also just mention how significant it is in a state like Nevada, where the economic strength of communities and access to recreation assets not only helps to encourage and make the outdoor economy flourish, but it's also about the broader economy. In a state like Nevada, and where I live in Reno, in the northwest part of the state near Lake Tahoe, there are incredible economic development engines that are driven by access to the outdoors and experiences for companies like Google, Tesla, and Switch to locate here, because they provide access to the outdoor recreation amenities in a place like Northwest Nevada. And that contribution sort of gets beyond the overall economic impact of the outdoor economy alone and speaks to the importance of it as a driver for the rest of the entire economy. I want to say thanks again to Jess and ORR for helping coordinate this. I'm going to pass it back to her, but thank you so much for having me here today.
Thank you, Colin, and thank you to all of our speakers. Special thanks to BEA for their hard work throughout the year measuring our industry's impact, and for the awesome speakers that provided additional insight into the important and growing sector that we know to be the outdoor recreation economy. It's interesting because what we heard today was that government data is showing we are having a wonderful growth back from COVID from our 2020 numbers. We had a record gross output year, and we're also growing faster than the economy as a whole, 19% up from 2020, and job growth outpacing the economy as well. So bills like the America's Outdoor Recreation Act, sponsored by Senator Manchin and Senator Barrasso, will continue to support this key sector that Colin mentioned, doesn't just benefit our recreation economy, but the overall economic health of America. A special thanks to all of the ORR members. They're such a strong community of trade associations, businesses, nonprofits, and education institutions. Their leadership on continuing to get this study funded, and to all the participants here with us today. As a reminder, this webinar was recorded and will be on our website shortly after. If you want to take a look at any more of the data, you can also visit us at recreationroundtable.org or the BEA website for a deeper dive into the economic data. And for members of the press, we'll hop over to the Q&A in just a couple minutes. Thank you again so much, and have a wonderful day.